AMG Hobby Talk number 104, post Expo edition. Two of the people on the screen here were not at the expo. However, they were there in spirit. I was there at the expo and around the AMG booth a number of different times, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk about some items that came in the shop. We'll talk about a few cards in the shop as well and give you a couple of reminders of some upcoming things. But I think it's going to be a lot of an expo story thing. We'll talk a little bit around it, and then I'll incorporate the guys kind of talking around some of the other elements that usually go into doing one of these things. But first, Collector the Scallops, Collector People. Steve, how are you?
I am very good this morning.
Excellent. Ooh, amazing. Sensational. Blair, how are you?
I'm good. Had a little bit of our rain turned into snow where I was, so I had to actually physically brush off the van today. So hands are still a little cold, but we're good to go.
Yep. So obviously Maritime's different weather system, but a lot of similar elements to it. So I'll tell you, expo-wise, we had the full gamut. It was actually kind of fun. I had a few friends who actually came up from south, so they got to experience that kind of shift. It's not so much the weather itself, but it's kind of the shift from the beginning of the week to the middle of the week to the end of the week. So we got a little bit of variation to it. I'll give a little story related to I actually attended one of the trade nights for the first time. I hadn't gone to one of those previously.
Yeah.
Had some success, found some stuff on that. I've covered that on my own channel where I've talked about that at varying amounts. I got a chance to talk to a lot of people. It was very fun. Talk a little bit more about that in a second. And like I said, the AMG booth ended up being a hub of various activities. So we'll touch on that here in a moment. But before I do, let me quickly go into last week. Obviously, last week's episode, some people left comments. So let me read through some of those here. And as always, if it's not time sensitive, but you'd like to give some thoughts or comments, always welcome it. Feel free to put that in the comment section and we'll go follow it up on the following week. If it is more time sensitive, though, reach out directly to the store. I always recommend it. So as we go through the products and everything, pricing and availability, if something is short or whatever, or you want to find out the pricing, use the contact points in the description or in the scrolling ticker across the bottom there. That's the best way to get all the updates. So first, Winston Hart here said, great video, guys. A lot of useful information about the expo. It's a long day there, and now they have gone to more than one day from the time I was going. I do not know how they managed to get through it running 3 booths all by myself. Those were the days. I wish AMG the best for the show. Thanks. So that was from last week, so thank you for that. And then Brian North here said, if I was asked which hobby personalities I'd most want to sit down for a beer with, Brad Harlan and Ken Reed would be at the top. They both come across as unusually genuine and easygoing, and based on the stories they've already shared on podcasts, I can only imagine how many even better ones they can't tell publicly. That is fair.
Very, very true.
Yep. So appreciate the comments on that, as always. So that's very good. And then we did have, let's see here. So I'll touch on this one, even though it was on the previous week's episode. I will still check comments, but if it's a couple weeks ago, you might want to put it on the most recent episode. It makes it easier to see, because we wouldn't want to miss the comment from Steve's personal favorite commenter, Hockey 99. So don't worry, Steve, you're exempt from this one. This is a different comment. So Hockey 99 says, the 2026 Fall Expo show should be the debut of Carlos's stage presence. Would be cool to see Carlos and the AG team have a segment on stage. Well, listen, if Steve was around, we'd have a segment. But it's like, I'm not interested in going on the stage, and we've never talked about it. I do know the people behind the scenes. It's not something I'd be interested in, to be honest, especially with a lot of stuff they do there. I leave that to others.
Yeah, the stage event would be me eating a firehouse sub.
I think there could be. Listen, I think you could eat this. I think you could eat the sub and have a comedy roast. Yeah. I would sit in the audience and watch that. That'd be fun.
I think you'd find there'd be companions.
Yeah, the comedic stylings of the Collector of the Scallops. I think that would be a fabulous part of the programming. But nonetheless, there you go. So that was last week's comments, so thank you for that. Real quick here, I will go over a couple of the products that are coming in. A lot of these are restocks. A bunch of them are going to be limited quantities in terms of boxes that are there. So again, what I said a moment ago, if you're curious, if there is something there that you are curious about and it might be short stock, you might want to reach out to the store. And some of these will be coming later in the week. So I'll read through the list first, and then you guys can specify which ones are later in the week, just so we have clarification. So 2025 Panini Certified Football. 2025, I'm going to stop saying Panini, because right now, until Fanatics officially takes over fully, it's just redundant. But if it's football currently, until we cross over, and we'll let you know it's coming, it is going to be Panini doing it. Mosaic Football for 2025 as well. Then in terms of Pokemon, we've got the Phantasmal Flames. So there's a couple of things here.
Yep.
We've got, just 1 second on that one, Blair. Mega Battle, DK Mega, Gengar Mega, Diancie. That's a mouthful. Then we got Phantasmal Flames Booster Display, Phantasmal Flames Booster Bundle, Phantasmal Flames Blister Packs, Phantasmal Flames Elite Trainer Box. This was being a struggle, Steve. This one's a tough one here this week. The EX Ultra Premium Collection Charizard. So that's also Pokemon. Pokemon Trainers Toolkit 2025. So that's the Pokemon. Blair will give us a quick thing on that in a second. 2025 Topps Holiday Baseball Mega Box. So we got that on there. 2025 Skybox Metal Universe Batman. So we've got that as well. And then restocks of 55 point and 180 point top loaders. Bam.
Thank goodness.
Shockingly, 55 points. I bet it's 7 months or more since we've had them. So
I'm as excited for the 55 points as I am the Phantasmal Flames.
I can't blame you. I can't blame you. Is there anything about the Phantasmal Flames you would like to add?
It's just, so it's the next big release in the Mega Evolutions. A lot of hype around this one. It's Charizard, kind of, heavy or related. So that's actually probably the biggest pull in the set is this Charizard EX card. I read it's a 94 card set or something like that. So it's a smaller set. So it might be easier to collect if you so wish to do that, although most people seem to want the shinies. But and as you read out, we're getting the full gamut, including the UPC, which we haven't had one of those in the last bunch of sets. So just a bigger box, lots of packs, special promos. I did watch an unboxing or an opening. So it's cool. The layout, you kind of flip the top and it's laid out really nice. There's promo cards in there. A mix of packs. It's got Phantasmal Flames, Journeys Together, Destined Rivals. I saw one Surging. So it's not all Phantasmal Flames packs in that. It's a mixture, but there are. And, we're getting the whole gamut. It should arrive today. Steve would probably update us on that, but I imagine it is. Release is Friday. And if it is, we expect it to be a little busy Friday morning. So we'll do our kind of, as we do with all the big openings, we'll have everything ready. If it starts to get a bit of a lineup, we'll open a little early and kind of do a kind of orderly line of people getting them in and out for the products they want. So we're expecting a busy Friday morning, but we'll see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we don't do on the Pokemon, we don't do pre-orders.
Yes.
So people that like to call to see if they can buy it in advance. No, we just don't. Something we don't do. Nor can we sell it until Friday. So I guess there's particular licenses that you can have where you can sell it already or the day before or whatever. But it'll be on the shelves first thing Friday morning, and when Parker gets in today or tomorrow, Blair and Parker will kind of go over pricing for it, and they can have fun with it Friday morning because I have a doctor's appointment. So good luck, guys.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Sensational. Love it. Sounds good. So a couple of quick, one or two more quick housekeeping notes. That way we're all covered. One thing I do want to make mention of, and we'll give you reminders. So this week we'll touch on it briefly, but then next week we'll give you a much more direct reminder. There are still going to be card shows happening. We talked about the trade night and everything has been changed over. There will be something new in the new year. We'll talk about it again more next week. But the card shows are still happening the last Saturday of each month, which means the next one here on the schedule is November 29th. So Expo and everything took a lot of our attention here, but now that is past. We have completed that. We'll talk about it in a moment. But November 29th is the next card show, followed by December 20th, followed by January 31st, followed by February 28th. So we will give you reminders on that. If you're following the Instagram post, though, there is already a post that has all those dates on there with dates and times to give you the reminder. It is in the same location. If you can find the store, you know where the card show is. So that is where the card show is, and you'll know dates and times. Always follow the social medias. That is the best way to get all the latest updates, but that information is available for you. Last housekeeping note before I get into talking a little Expo is that we are getting dangerously close to 450 subscribers. We're at 447 at the time I'm looking at right now. And two things, Steve. Number one, 450. Love that. Number two, we need 9 more to pass the PSA Canada YouTube channel. We are actually getting really close. Steve, we need to get out there. We need the people to... at the store, Blair, I need you to demand that people subscribe to it. I want to beat that channel because we are this close. Dangerous close.
It's dangerous. Right, sounds dangerous.
It is. Maybe I'll give out $5 bills to anybody that's...
You might have to just start bribing people, Blair.
Right out of my pocket.
We need a little bit to get over the good news is we don't need a lot. We just need a little bit more to get over the top. So let's just get there.
Yeah.
We're getting close. So we'll see. Hey, listen, if enough of you subscribe, maybe when we get to 500, maybe we can pitch for something interesting. That could be, but you got to get to 450 before we can even have the discussion. You got to get over that line. We're getting close. Anyway, so I wanted to make sure we touch on that because we usually touch on it at the end of the episode. So let's talk about a little bit about the Fall Expo here. From my standpoint, it was a very good show. Sherry gave me a little blurb here that covered a couple of details, so I'll read those first, and then I'll show you a little of gallery of pictures that were included in here. So we'll touch on those, and I'll kind of talk through a few of them as well. So the Gong Show repack, that was one of the things that was going to be sold at the booth. It's sold out. So success on that perspective. They had 100 of them, so they managed to sell out at, and they were at 325 per. So successful launch on that. I did get a chance to watch a few. You'll be proud, Steve. I did sell one of them on behalf of, because at that point, like they just needed somebody to. I literally was walking by, and one of the guys was asking. I will tell you. I'll give you a story about the booth in a second. It was a hub of activity, and people were all over the place. But there were times where like people weren't like looking. They're kind of like. One of the guys was asking some questions. They go, "Yeah, you can use the QR code and everything." And so he ended up buying it. It was one of the last ones remaining. So there you go. I'm not even charging you guys commission. I'll sell it for you. It's
nice.
Fine. So they did sell out. All got moved, and then the books will be available at AMG. So books referring to Ken Reed's book. So I'll talk more about that here in a second. I'll give you a little background on that as well. But they will be available at AMG when the truck arrives back. So there is a little delay right now for weather. We did have a blizzard on the last day of the expo. Alex and Riley got stuck in a Montreal blizzard. So that is the update on that, but it's going to happen. Ken was signing books. Sherry and Ken's son had a small rip party and hit a Nico auto who played for the Halifax Mooseheads in the queue. So there's a little update included in there. So some happenings at the booth there. So let me show you a couple of slides here, and then I'll kind of talk through them a little bit. Let's see here. Alrighty, so first one here is this is the AMG booth. It's going to look really similar to what you've seen in the past, except you've got a little more room back there if you notice. Yeah. It's actually more of an L shape. Usually it's just the front section there, but you've actually got this background happening as well. And that was actually extremely helpful, because that extra little bit of room is where Luke was able to do some submissions for PSA, and there was a lot going on. So if you didn't want to go to the main village, Luke was able to take care of it, and he was there kind of doing a little bit of work. The section there where the showcases are, they had different boxes on it. They went through a number of different boxes. If you were there, you probably had a chance to get a good deal on a couple of those boxes because they were priced to go. The desire was not to take it back. So I think they were able to clear through a fair bit of that. Mm-hmm. So just to give you a sense, obviously this was early in the setup process, but just a little bit bigger booth than in the past. I think there were some benefits though. I did like the change because it created some space. So in terms of being a hub, if you hung out there, myself and Eric and several people from my podcast were around. The Gong Show guys were around semi-regularly. It was kind of a hub for various of us. So if you're familiar with a lot of these shows and you wanted to see some of these people say hello, I chatted with a number of people here. The Gong Show guys chatted with a number of people here. It very much was a hub of activity. Quite a bit of things going on.
Looks like a great. It looks like a great layout, and from the back shot there, it looked like it was very ideally positioned close to the washrooms. That's helpful.
Yeah, it was. So you can see here, this was an image that was taken, and you can see yours truly. There's Brad, and then there's a couple. There's Luke, and there was a lot of stuff, like I said, at various times going on around there. So this was still early on, but then once the show actually was underway fully, then you were able to see a lot of different people. So if you were around during the various times, and then right in the corner there is actually when Ken Reed was doing his signing. So when it came to signing times on Saturday, there was a spot for it. That little bit of extra space, Steve, was actually a big difference because it let everything spread out just a little bit more so everybody wasn't crammed in one tiny little area.
Cool. Maybe we'll go someday, Blair.
Maybe next year.
I'm good, actually. I enjoyed our time together.
Yep, it was fun. It was busy. There's old Bill.
Yeah.
That's right. We got it covered. It's included in this. It's included in the screenshot. So we got the booth mates across the way. So here was the Gong Show repack early on when they still had a number of them. So you had the whole display there. It was very easy to pick up because you had the big display, and then you had a bunch of them stacked up there, and they were able to go through them as mentioned. So here is Sherry doing the pose with Ken Reed while they were preparing a lot of the stuff. You had the promotion and everything included in it. So what happened is, as mentioned, Ken Reed was doing the signing for the book. And obviously you could get inscriptions and whatever. You could talk briefly about it. So he was very good, chatting with a lot of folks. So I did get my signed copy while I was there. So it was good. Just happy to support in that sense, and folks were able to enjoy it. Ken Reed, for the folks uninitiated, is obviously in Sportscaster at Sportsnet. Does a lot of work with that and has written several books, including hockey themed books, but predominantly focusing on stories. This one's talking about hockey scouts and that. And again, there will be some of these books available at AMG once everything comes back. So just to give you a little bit of a sense of that.
Yep.
An image of the Reloaded, because that was the Expo exclusive. A couple of images here of a couple of display cases that were there. So there was a complimentary case of quite a bit of Pokemon. So a little bit of that was going back and forth. Here's some more Pokemon there in case you haven't had. Ken Reed doing some signing, some of the stack of books and everything related to it. And here was the pack break. So I think that's the card that was being referred to right there. So that was one of the big pulls. So you can see that. So quite a bit going on. It was a good setup at the show. Just to give you a little bit of a sense of it for these various moments, little snippets along the way. Didn't have time to do a lot of extra content or video, but there was a fair bit of traffic. Quite a fair bit of traffic in that direction, because I will say the Thursday show, so I'll give you a couple of stories along the way here. The Thursday show was busier than the previous Thursdays. People are starting to clue in that is the best opportunity to have a little bit more space. If you don't want to get crammed in with too many people, Thursday's a good day to walk around. You're not going to get the absolute bargain basement deal of maybe somebody on Sunday who's trying to clear out inventory, but if you're looking for a tougher card and it's available on Thursday, you've got a better chance of maybe negotiating a little bit and getting the conversation going, because realistically you had a little bit more space to maneuver. So that's very helpful. And if you wanted to scan through the tables a little bit without as much traffic in your way, that was a very good, very helpful one. Upper Deck was doing its thing, quite a busy activity going on there. A lot of the displays were happening. We did have the Whatnots and such of the world, but they had more scaled down presence compared to like a National, where they had this gigantic thing. So they were there, but they weren't kind of in the way of everybody. You could kind of walk by without worrying about it. eBay was doing some stuff. I think they were taking pictures where you could actually have your own card. I believe it was eBay, or it was somebody was doing that. Might have been Upper Deck as well, but I forget who was doing it. I know there were definitely cards that you could have made. So you had that going on with it. I did attend the trade night. I tried that for the one time here. The timing worked out perfectly because we had a dinner reservation a little bit later at 8:30, and the trade night was right after on Saturday at 6. So a lot of energy in that room, though. I will say there was a lot of young guys running around with their cases and such and setting all up. I knew a couple of folks that were going over that way, so actually I just camped out at one of the tables and was just kind of hanging out. And to be honest, Steve, I actually bought a couple of cards that were already at the table I was at. I didn't even have to get up. So it's much more convenient if you don't have to. If it just comes to you.
It's nice when the business comes to you, which
Beautiful.
actually Blair and I, at the store, it was business as usual. And we actually picked up some really solid cards. Some of them will feature in upcoming episodes. And even one of them is probably the biggest card we bought probably in a year. So
Yeah.
We'll feature that in an upcoming episode. But part of the reason Blair and I stay here is, the show must go on here. And we buy all the time. And the fact we stayed here, if we were closed, we would have lost out on a great opportunity to purchase a phenomenal card.
It's a
Absolutely.
biggie. Yeah, it's a beautiful card. So anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. We'll discuss more once you get a chance, and we'll display that. So, like I said, I'll talk through a couple different things. So I wanted to touch on the trade night thing. I think they did a good job organizing it, by the way. Now, one thing that I think they'll have to work on for next time around, they used one of the other halls in order to have one of the rooms to have the space. Now, I don't know what happened. Usually some of these halls are interconnected, so you're able to go kind of from one area to another down a hallway. For whatever reason, they weren't interconnected. And this was a confusion. I think this is you'll enjoy this one, Steve. Is so they have this in the hall, and they tell everybody what date, what time, and everything it is. Mint Inc., I think, was running it, and they had a bunch of stuff going on. Pretty good. But I will say this. The main show was happening at hall kind of 2 and 3, entrance 2 and 3. 3 is kind of the main one. So that's all fine. When the show was running to an end, that point, they're like, okay, so head over to hall 5, and that's where they're going to have the entrance of it. Well, it turns out in hall 5, at the same time, you had the card trade night, but you also had the import car show. There was a little import car show that they had at the same time. So there was this so you actually had to go outside because for whatever reason, they didn't have an interconnected thing. And it was getting chilly by that point. So you actually have to walk around the building, basically, get over to hall 5, which is where they've had the show in the past. So I'm familiar with where Hall 5 is. So you get there, but then you see this gigantic line, and you're just sitting there going like, okay, it's trade not going to be that busy, but we're looking at it now. Luckily, one of the young guys who's running kind of the stuff at the expo was walking up and down, going, "Hey, does anybody want to go to the trade night, the card trade night?"
Mhm.
And we were like, "Yeah," because I was with a group of people there, and they were like, "Yeah, come with me." So we actually bypassed that entire line because that was for the import car show, which means some people stayed in that line for however long that line was. And it was a long line. They stayed for, and then they got up to the front. It's like, this is the import car show. That's the trade night. And it's like, no, it was the same entrances basically. So it's very confusing.
I always look for the hot dog vendor. He's never sent me in the wrong direction. So wherever he is, that's where the entrance to the show is.
Well, Steve, I'm sorry to tell you that now the doom is in effect because the hot dog vendor is no longer there.
Well, probably because I haven't been there the last couple.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
you've wrecked the hot dog vendor economy, and now it's over.
Yeah.
This is very sad.
That's right up there with Firehouse Subs, the hot dog guy, and he's been there for years.
He's been there for. Look, we respect Steve. This is not a joke. We were speculating on this because people were asking the question like, "Where is the hot dog vendor guy?" Because he had been there for years. There's some kind of an issue. I don't know. There's been a falling out or so, or maybe Steve's lack of attendance. He goes, "You know what? Forget it. I'm done. It's over."
Sales are down.
Mm-hmm.
He moved quite a lot of hot dogs during that weekend.
And
I've had my share.
Was pretty good on those hot dogs.
Yeah. But
So,
they tasted good at by 3:30 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. After just a couple of coffees and maybe something in the morning. Boy, did that hot dog taste good.
Well, Blair, I went to school in a university town, and there was an Asian restaurant that was there. It was called Sun Sun's, and they would close the restaurant at the normal time, but then on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, because those are the evenings when people would go out pub crawling, they would reopen the restaurant after like 11 p.m. So they had closed for the regular service day, but they would reopen at 11 p.m. And oftentimes they would still have some food left over, and they would also make a little bit more, and they would refill everything. And all of a sudden they'd have a line until like 2 in the morning, 2 and 3, because last call in Guelph was 3 in the morning. So so they would run another shift late in the evening, and they made a ton of money because at 2 in the morning, Blair, or 3 in the morning, when people are done their drinking, turns out they were very hungry.
SMART. Smart.
Mm-hmm. They probably made more money that running like a 4-hour shift at that time, Steve, than they did the entire day running regular service.
Absolutely.
I can almost guarantee that. So since you brought it up, that's what came to mind. I was like, Sun's probably made a lot of money during those hours.
Well, sorry. I was going to say, while we're talking about food, another one of my little haunts up there used to be the Pepperoni Man.
Yeah, I
I wonder was he
they're still there. They've got it. They had a full booth. Yeah. No, they make so much money.
Oh.
Like that booth. So they actually were over on the side area, but they still made a ton of money. Like where they are was still very well. People find them. People go out of their way to head over there. But yes, that booth is far too profitable for them to relinquish their position.
Talking about pepperoni, hot dogs.
I love
not much to do with sports cards.
No, I love the spicy one. So
it's about capitalism, Steve. It's about capitalism.
Ooh.
The only thing that matters is that they made a lot of money. There's a lot of dealers that would love to have the kind of markup in sales that they were doing.
Sherry just yelled at me she must have heard pepperoni and said, "Pepperoni's on the truck."
Oh,
there you go. Nice. Very good.
More exciting.
Infamy. If you haven't been to the expo, you'll know what these references are. Trust me, you'll want to be around that. Okay, so I covered the Ken Reed thing. I mentioned that. The trade night I mentioned. So we got that. So it was success. Like I said, speaking for myself, it was very successful. I was able to find a number of things. I'll quickly show one thing specifically, just kind of one of the things that a show like this for someone like myself, who is a player collector and has already got a lot of different things, is that I'm looking for some of the tougher stuff. That's really what it comes down to. It's not just the regular. Although there's plenty of regular stuff, there were some bargain bins out there. You could find that, but it's really just looking for certain type of items. So kind of to qualify here. Woo. So this right here is an honorable numbers Medano card there. So buddy of mine who sets up at the booth, who sets up at one of the booths there, had this, and I came by on Thursday, and I said, pull it right off the table. I will take that.
Boom. Boom. Out of
I always have
9
my eye out,
too.
always have my eye out for stuff like that because that's the kind of stuff I'm looking for if I'm going to get that. And of course, like I said, I was out there, with a shopping list from Steve to try to find the AEW, but I wasn't too impressed. I was looking, I
No.
saw some things, but I was like, So it goes back to what we've talked about before, though. The dealers who were priced competitively in a way with intending to sell did very well. And to be honest, I talked with a lot of the dealers. I got a chance to speak to a number of them, and a lot of them had a very good show because the ones that adjusted themselves and had good pricing had no problem moving inventory. Cash was moving around the room. And as kind of a addendum to a previous conversation we had, and I thought it was very good, the infamous Mike Medano Shield card made an appearance in the show. The person who bought it was at the show and was actually showing it to some people and trying to potentially try to make a deal and sell it. I was like, you already paid more money for this than anybody else has ever paid for one of these, and you're actually trying to
Yeah.
peddle it to
Wow.
who?
You should
To
have
who?
brought your shield Medano in. Tried to pawn it off on him.
I might have been the play. Yeah, it was just funny because they just bought it a couple weeks ago, and I was sitting there like, it's like really already. So yeah, one of my buddies caught it and took a picture of the card, and it's like, yep. So the card was in the room, so that was
Wow.
there. So
Did he have a
Wow.
price on it? The selling price?
I think he was just trying to get his head around the fact he had it. Obviously, he would need to be at least 13,000 basically to break even. So it's
Holy
like,
smokes.
yeah, it was 9,100 US. So like you'd have to be like at 12 plus 13,000 to get it to even. And I'm like, that's Blair kind of money. The rest of
Yeah.
us don't have that.
Well, he's gonna get buried with that card, I think.
I believe. Wow.
Well, nothing surprises me anymore. But good lord,
I was going to say it was already 4 times, Steve, what any of the other ones had ever sold before. So at this point, now you just need somebody else to get. Maybe Mr. Wonderful will show up and go like, "All right, I'll add it to my Wondershine index."
is Medano making a comeback that we don't know about?
I don't think it matters at this point. The GP Sports was had bounty. They were offering 3,500 for Rob Blake. Like it doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Like it's not the point.
Oh.
The name is irrelevant at this point. It's just they're paying hot. As soon as there's even a couple of people willing to pay top dollar for shields, all of a sudden everybody gets the idea in their head like, oh, the shields, And I'm like,
Yeah.
the shields have been around for some years. They're very nice cards. Like they're very good, but it's like when you pay 4 times as much as anybody has ever paid for one of these for Medano prior, I don't understand how we got from here to here.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm missing the in between. There's usually a couple steps along the way to get us there, but we just went from here to here. So I don't know what happened. So we'll see. Good luck to the guy if he's able to find
Yeah.
somebody that it works for. But I'm not sure I follow. So regardless, so that was one of the other things that I noticed. Tons of amazing cards at the show. Great variety on different things. Very enjoyable environment. Got a chance to. I mentioned already that the AMG booth was a great hub. Got a chance to talk extensively to the Gong Show guys. That was very good, and also got a chance to watch to chat with some of the folks. Sometimes comment in the comment section. Always happy to talk to those folks because it was good. And kind of Steve and Blair and myself were talking just before we hit record. It was funny because I think Louis from Gong Show got to experience for the very first time somebody actually made it was like an 8x10 with the logo on it. They basically created this image, and in the image they wanted all the Gong Show hosts to sign it. So I don't think Louis had actually signed anything before. And I actually joked with him and talked with him about it weeks prior. I said, well, you might have to get used to it. The platform that you guys have has gotten pretty big. At some point, somebody might ask for your autograph. You're going to have to kind of deal with that. We kind of talked about it. And I think that might have been the first time he'd actually been asked to sign an autograph on something. It's like, there you go. It happened.
Yep.
I've been working on mine. I told Steve he needs to get his down a little bit because
Blair's still learning. Blair's still learning cursive. So we'll,
yeah. I kind of do half cursive, half print. So I'm working on full cursive, just in case.
Well, that's what's gonna be very funny going forward down the road. Is that a lot of the I'm looking forward, Steve, when we get maybe in about another 5 years, and they get some of the current hockey players, and they basically have to sign X. Because because I don't know how to sign this. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I just think that'd be hysterically fun. It'd be sad, but also kind of hysterically funny for me. So that's kind of that'd be kind of enjoyable from my perspective.
They may have to take, like, as part of their signing bonus, take an autograph signing class and just learn how to sign a signature.
It might get to that, Steve.
Because
It might get to that.
well, there already is some interesting autos out there.
Yes.
And some of them are a little disheartening, to be honest. When you see an initial or something like that.
Even
there's some beauties out there.
Even one of the most hot guys now, Demidov, like we've seen. From what it's just like a D, and I can't remember. There's not much of it.
That's it. It's just the D.
Yeah.
There's this much room for the autograph, and then it's over here.
But,
please, athletes, do your best to give us a nice, attractive signature.
So I'll segue off of that into the kind of autograph thing. So obviously, once it got going, there was a procession of a ton of autograph signers. So there were quite a number of them, especially with the Hall of Fame induction going on that weekend and everything. There was a ton of stuff going on for that. So it was very interesting. I'll share this since I do have the images for it. Medano was actually signing on Sunday. So, much like basically following the footsteps of Steve, I didn't want to sully my hands and have to actually get in line or do anything. So I just sent people. Whenever Steve needs anything, he just sends people. That's basically how this works. So I had people, and I actually had a couple of jerseys that I still possessed that I wanted to get signed. So I sent my people, and they were able to go and get them for me. So here I've got a couple of images that I'll share just of the signing. So here's Medano signing one of the autographs there. So that's a 2000 All-Star Game jersey. That was actually my jersey that I had since the 2000 All-Star Game. So I purchased that back in the day in the 2000 All-Star Game in Toronto. So and a quick aside, so Eric was the one who went and got these signed for me. Medano actually commented on this because he and the handler, the gentleman that was with him, all the signers have people that kind of help them out with the stuff. The handler was kind of asking, he goes, wait, 27? Because Medano is number 9. And 2000 All-Star Game, Korea had number 9 that particular year. So Medano so it's actually unusual for him to have 27. So Medano actually looked at it and he goes, oh yeah. So yeah, I think this was the year in Korea, I think had not. So it kind of paused him for a second to actually take an extra moment to look at the jersey and actually look at it a little bit. So because a lot of times they'll just sign through because it's just one thing after another. It was a little bit different off the beaten path. And then this was a more conventional standard number 9 jersey. So this one in particular, though, was a personal one from the collection. I've had it for more than 25 years, so that was a nice one. I'll probably find a way to frame this one. That is a nice jersey. This other one I also had in my collection, so I figured I would get that one signed as well. So we took care of it. No problem there. It was good. And now I've got a couple of other pieces to go in the collection along with the rest of the stuff. When you've got everything else, Steve, then you're just looking for stuff that's a little bit different that you can have a little bit of fun with.
Does Medano, like when he sees you, look over at you and go, "Oh, there's that guy again"? Like
I've only been to one signing in person myself. So
that's probably smart. So he hasn't seen enough of you yet to just.
But he's only seen me the one.
A little closer.
Yeah, he's only seen me one time. I'm different than my buddy Eric. My buddy Eric really likes talking. He gets a chance because he works with a shop in Massachusetts, so he gets to do a lot of the stuff with the signing. So he is the handler in a lot of cases for different athletes to sign. I'm not as into meeting the players. I like. It's gonna sound really rude, Blair. I don't care about them as people, because in reality, it's like we're not friends. So we're any conversation we have is going to be more transactional and very polite than anything else. I don't need to be your friend. I just want you to sign the thing. So that's really what I'm looking for here. I'm a fan of your work, but it's like we're not buddies, we're not pals. So it's like just sign the thing. I will take it. Thank you, appreciate it. Have a good day. So I don't actually need. So that's why I sense people, Steve. I don't need to be there.
I can respect that.
Yeah, well, you could leave your contact info, and
sure.
Maybe you could.
I'll leave that to Eric. Is the one who wants to be buddies. Eric is the one who wants to take the picture and be good. I was like, that's why I send Eric. Eric, it's more for Eric's. Steve, I do it for Eric's sake. But I'll take the signed item. Really, I just want the signed item. I'll put it on my display. Again, I'm a fan of your work, but it's like we're not friends because look, if there's any clinginess, then I'm sorry. Then I'm going to charge you because I'm good. I just wanted the signature. That's all I was looking for here.
Focus on the signature too.
When I did go and I wasn't kind of associated with AMG, I used to enjoy it, but I was going to see. I met Gordie Howe and Johnny Bauer and those older guys, so I was a little bit smitten. I would try to not chat them up. I was trying to be polite, and I know there was a big lineup, but I was a little awestruck by a few guys, and And
Blair's from Newfoundland, so he has the gift of gab too. So
I do, although I was
picture,
trying.
I could picture your conversations.
Yeah, I tried a little bit, but I wasn't like, a gab fest. I'm not that type of guy, but but I did, it was neat. I was a little awestruck by some of those players, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a good Gordy story real quick, since we're
Ah,
just so I'll save
you.
the images. So we have some images for some cars that came in the shop. I'll save it to next week since we're doing a little expo story time. I figured this will be the best use of this episode. By the way, if you have any questions about anything at all or any kind of comments, anything, I'll just remind everybody again. You can put it in the comment section. If it's not time sensitive, we'll get to the following week. So we'll be happy to do that. So if you have any questions about the show in general, you haven't been before, and maybe you have questions or curiosities, you're more than welcome to ask, and then we can at least fill you in on that. And then again, we'll give you reminders of everything else, and you can reach out. If it is more time sensitive, though, reach out directly to the store. Use the contact points, go directly to the store, because that way you'll be able to pricing, availability on anything. That's the best way. And then we'll share some of the rest of that stuff with you next week. So Gordie Howe has done various signings at Expo for years, right? Prior to him passing away. One of the years he did a signing where they had the regular setup, but one of the things they had actually a bobblehead. So they had a specific bobblehead that they would have that you could have signed at that show. And at the time, Gordie Howe's rates were actually fairly reasonable, especially compared to where the American signings he was doing. So the bobblehead, and I point right here, right where my finger is there's a box, and in that
Good
box is the
job.
bobblehead. So it's a Gordie Howe bobblehead with him in the Red Wings, and he was signing those. If you got the bobblehead, it was $75, which included the bobblehead. So it's a Gordie signature and the bobblehead for $75. Well, you can go look at what bobbleheads cost. Like, actually, that's a really good deal. Like, if you actually think about it. So they had that signing that year, and this is years ago now. That year, I didn't have a lot of time. I would visit the expo almost every, I would go the 2 shows a year. I've been to comfortably over 50 of them, probably approaching 60 of them with the twice a year things, going back to the mid 90s. But that particular year, I didn't have a ton of time, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I saw the bobblehead thing. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of cool. I'll buy the bobblehead and get it signed and whatever. Kind of going back to what we were talking about a moment ago. So I went over there. My dad actually gave me a lift over, and he said, yeah, I'll just hang around in the parking lot if you need a little bit of time. Go do your thing. He's just gonna hang out, listen to radio for a little bit, and then I would come out and when I was done. So I went over to the section, and they had the signature and everything. You could go buy a ticket to get the signing and all that going on. But then I looked over to the side. So this testament to kind of what I was saying to Steve a second ago. So Gordie Howe's there, Mr. Hockey, Gordie Howe. So you can have a moment, quickly, and he'd sign your bobblehead for you. But I looked over to the side, and there was a small little mini pyramid of the bobbleheads, and they were already signed. And I was just sitting there going like, so I go over to the person on the side. I go, hey, are you selling these? And they go, yeah, if you like, you can just for the $75 because it was $75.
Yeah.
Because if you want, you can just buy one of them at $75. I was like, thank you. So I bypassed Blair getting Gordie Howe to sign the bobblehead, and I just took the signed bobblehead off of the pile, paid them the $75, and walked straight out of the building, straight inside, straight back to the car, and we were on the road within about 20 minutes.
I thought you were going to say you knocked the pyramid over.
Listen, Steve has a little bit of cat. Steve has a little bit of cat in him. He's just like,
yeah.
I wouldn't be able to help myself. I'd be like,
Take the bottom one.
Yeah, just paw at it. So Blair, there we go. There was my meeting, and literally Gordie Howe was beside the pyramid. So literally he just looks to the side. I go yoink, and I pay the person, and I walk right back out the door, right out the building.
You are cold.
Listen, man, Blair, I got places to be. I'm a busy man. I don't got time for Gordie Howe. I got things to do, buddy. I got things to do.
Love it.
If Gordie Howe wants to pay for some FaceTime with me, that's fine. But otherwise, I got places to be.
I would have probably been the other way. I would have paid the $75. I don't want the bobblehead. Can I chat with Gordie?
Yeah, probably. Can I have extra time? Just keep the bobblehead. I'll just take the extra time to chat.
Yeah, I respect that though.
The point though is, and I am a firm believer. I think you should now. I think the players, a lot of them do a very good job of trying to be friendly and engaging, which is good. That's nice. I think you got to make the experience out of it what you want it to be. I have no problem. I respect people who want to, because for some of them, it's not only do they enjoy the person or they look up to them or whatever the case may be, this is an opportunity to have a brief moment to kind of like have that interaction. It's part of the experience. So you're actually taking that brief moment. So I understand it, especially if it's like somebody who's got like a photo op or whatever related to it. Like, hey, you got a picture with the person, that you can kind of attach to the memory and all that. So I have no issue with that. For me, a lot of it is that I collect. I don't connect to the person too much because, again, you don't know these people. So that because a lot of people, because this can create an unfortunate thing for some folks, is that sometimes your heroes disappoint you because maybe they're not the type of people you would hope they would be. But again, we're not friends. I don't know you, so I don't try to assign too much to you. But I can still respect your work. I can still be like, no, as a hockey player, I enjoyed watching you, and you were very good, and a lot of good memories associated with that. But again, we're not friends. I don't know you as a person, so I can't associate that. So that's why I say, like, it's always kind of weird for me, the idea of like, oh, let's hang out and have a chat for a moment. It's like, that's kind of weird. I don't know.
No.
So it's like, but again, because they won't remember you in 5 seconds. So it's like, what are we really trying to accomplish here? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Again, everybody's got to get what the experience out of it that they want. And as long as you have that experience and you're happy with it, and that's the important part, then great. I do know some super collectors who have been able to cultivate more direct relationships with some of these players because they've been around more often. It's not like they went to one signing one time. There's a buddy of mine who is on YouTube who is a Wade Boggs collector, and he's had the chance to meet Wade Boggs multiple times. He has even been able to get actual memorabilia from Wade Boggs. So it's gotten to the point that Wade Boggs knows that some of these super collectors so much that he has actually, kind of worked with them on getting different memorabilia pieces, and he's authenticated pieces for them. So obviously they have more of a direct relationship. That's a little bit more. He actually got him on the channel to do a little interview as well, and they had a nice conversation with it. So Steve, at that point, then I kind of get it. Yeah, then you guys chatting a little bit back and forth, that makes sense to me because at least you cultivate a little bit of a personal relationship to the point that he's helping you out with authenticating pieces and all that. So at least he knows who you are. So that's a little more valid to me than just a random one-time occurrence.
Yeah, and I think you have to find a happy medium when dealing with athletes. Part of the job is the interaction with the fans, but we also have to look at it from their point of view. Yes, they made an incredible amount of money over their careers, but they're still people. So when they've got a job to do, let them do the job, and keep your conversations short and sweet, and thank them for their time, and appreciation goes both ways too. And if you appreciate them, hopefully they appreciate you, and if they don't, that's when you can talk bad about them.
Mm-hmm. like basically the approach that Steve is describing is the same approach that you have when you go to the store and ask Steve for an autograph.
Exactly.
Try to engage in it. Now, Steve is very clear: no direct eye contact. You don't want to do that. Like, no, just a little bit to the side, a little deference. Don't look directly at him. Take your time. Make sure. Mind your P's and Q's. Throwing it out there. All right. So real quick. So I wanted to share some of that, a little bit of stories. Again, just figured we'd have a little story. This was more of a story time episode this particular time. But like I said, next week we'll bring back some of the other segments and everything. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Is there anything else we want to make sure we touch on before we take off here?
Nope, just waiting for the truck to make it back from Toronto. Usually it's back Monday or Tuesday, but because of the storm, it's a little late. But we will have copies of Ken Reed's book available. Not sure if it will be today, but more than likely tomorrow. And apparently there's lots of pepperoni on there for the staff. So looking forward to that.
Good stuff. So we're about to get you guys out here on time. So again, if you got any questions or comments that are less time sensitive, put them in the comments section. If it is more time sensitive, reach out directly to the store. And again, we'll come back if there's any upcoming products here in the next couple of weeks. I believe there are a few coming shortly, and we will discuss them at more length. So for bonus player down there in the attic, Steve, Collector the Scallop, Collector the People, episode 104 in the books. Thank you very much. We'll catch you in the next one.